Welcome to Ignite Intimacy, a podcast exploring intimacy, romantic relationships, sexuality, and everything that relates to these hot topics. We're going in. Are you ready? This is your host, Laura Aisha. Let's do this. Hello, Ignite Intimacy community. This is your host, Miss Laura Aisha, and I am very excited to have another, what I would term goddess powerhouse, female entrepreneur, doing it like for real in the world today on the podcast with us. We have Alexandra Fine from Dame Products on the line with us today. What's going on, Alex?
It's a beautiful day here in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
It's all happening. It's great.
Awesome. Well, so Alex is up to a lot. She's playing a really big game. So we're going to do a quick hit with her today, maybe 20, 25 minutes. And we're going to dive into some juicy topics because Alex is the co-founder and CEO of an amazing company called Dame. They make, I would call them new age sex toys for women. Do you make any sex toys for men or?
So we actually feel like we make sex toys for
people.
It's really always, as it always is in products. So they usually are designed with clitoral stimulation in mind, but most of them, except for our brand new product, have also been designed with partners in mind. We really wanted to make partner sex. We got started. I wanted to be a sex therapist, and then I met my co-founder who went to MIT for mechanical engineering, and we were both really moved by this universal pull of pleasure inequality as a real inequality that we weren't talking about, that we both felt like we could, in our own ways, help shed light on it and help correct the problem and help more people have more pleasure and ultimately also better relationships.
Yeah.
So women are 4 times more likely to say that sex has been not at all pleasurable in the past year. I'm always struggling to find stuff. I don't know.
Okay. So I had an experience recently, and I want to get into your background and what got you into this. But I had an experience recently, which I haven't had in a while, where a man climaxed and I didn't. And it was just sort of oh, okay, so that happened. And then I handled it like the grown ass woman that I am. And I was like, okay, well, so, I would love for you to watch me pleasure myself and I would love for you to do this and to do that while I'm doing
it. Stay present with me. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did. And it was beautiful and it was amazing. In the past, though, I would just leave disappointed and not say anything. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
I still struggle. we call it afterplay.
Yeah. I love that.
Even though I think that honestly, it's still that's, if I really think about it, it's, why are we centering all of sex around the male orgasm? Why do we visualize? I don't know. I'm struggling here.
No, it's an issue, right? So it happens, and
it's a whole concept of how we think about sex and what we imagine it to be, and what our expectations are of what each one of us are supposed to want out of it. So I think for a lot of men and women are both told that, you have sex, the penis goes in the vagina, and then the penis comes, and then sex is over. And that's the concept. So I think it's hard on both sides for both people to start exploring outside of what they've been told.
Yeah, absolutely. So this brings me into my place of curiosity around what was percolating within you through the years, through your adolescence, into teenhood, into your 20s that, caused you to now found a sex toy company.
Yeah. So this is my story. And of course, my co-founder has her own really, different and beautiful story. And I love that. So cool to meet. I don't know. Everybody's different, and everybody Anyway, so I am Alex. I'm from Long Island, New York originally. People talk like this there. From a very Jewish area, pretty affluent. And I remember when I was 6 years old, my cool aunt took me to a drag queen party in the city.
Nice.
And I was exposed to an early age of just different types of gender and sexuality, and was really kind of had my mind blown by that experience. And I went back to show and tell to my first grade class and explained at the time I had learned the term transsexual, transgender, and drag queen. And they explained the difference of all three to me. And then I explained it to my first grade class, and I got in trouble. And I think that was one of a foundational experiences that really triggered my interest in this thing that we're not supposed to talk about. Then I think it's also about just being a horny woman. I was just really, in first grade, my principal called me the class seductress. I think I was watching, I think I was getting that whore Madonna input from media, and definitely being these whores have got it going on. Why would anybody want to be the Madonna? That shit looked awful. I was I was full of I'm very friendly. I'm very naturally friendly and extroverted, which, and then as you get older, friendliness becomes flirtation, which is another interesting thing. And then in adolescence, I was definitely slut shamed. I definitely, for me, my experience with sex was really wanting to have sex and trying to wait because I was so worried about what people were going to say. And I remember really, if I could go back to myself at I was, at 15, which is young, I really wanted that embodied experience. And I do think I was more ready than, I don't know. Wish I could hug myself then and be you should experience that and don't let the fear, do what feels right for you. And then I also did have sex and got HPV, which is everybody has it. Not that that's what matters or doesn't matter about it, but I didn't take health class until my senior year because I was a big nerd and taking a ton of AP classes and just kept on pushing back health. And I remember in health class, I wanted to explain HPV and talk about my personal experience, because at that point, not only had I had HPV, but I'd also had friends experience it and find out I had gone through the procedure and everything. And really, I could tell how impactful it was for me to share my story with them.
Wow, that's really courageous.
Yeah. Somebody once said that I was born with very naturally very little shame, and I think that's true. I was
amazing.
I just don't understand what the big deal is about things sometimes, which doesn't make me a nice person on occasion. But and my health teacher told me, she said I shouldn't share.
Wow.
And it was coming from a really, I could looking back on it, this woman was genuinely looking out for me, but she was just I feel like kids are so mean, Alex, and you're going to put yourself in, she was worried about, she reinstilled the shame and stigma in that she didn't, and I think that there's something to that. I think that there's so much of that when you're a teenager, when you're learning so much about the way the world works, and you're just but why does it work that way?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because you're 18 and you don't realize how bad your mistakes could really be at that time, or whatever it is. But also it's because of, sometimes you do know. I don't know. I wish she shouldn't.
Yeah.
Bums me out.
Well, and also it's this protecting against what other people may say, feel, react, what their experience is. I mean, 18, everyone's at a different level of maturity. And I know for my daughter, when she was in 5th and 6th grade, she would be in health class and the teacher was always like, okay, your daughter is like miles ahead of her peers. She is so comfortable talking about the body and puberty and all of this stuff. And like, her peers are like giggling and she is having a very straight conversation with me about it, you know? So I get it. And like, and everybody's at their own level of like what they can, you know, manage as far as information, right? So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if when that happened when you were 18, did you have like flashbacks to first grade when you were like, ooh, like, because it's almost like what I'm getting is like, there's something wrong with this.
Yes. I did not have flashbacks because like that's not how my brain works.
Okay.
But I definitely like it's now that you're making that connection, there's such a strong connection there. Like just that school environment too of you have less power when you're a student than the teacher. There's a power dynamic there. And they're telling you what is right and what is wrong, and it can make an impact for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and so you have a master's in clinical psychology with a concentration in sex therapy, right?
Yeah.
So what was your journey through your educational career?
Yeah, so I went to Wash U in St. Louis for undergrad. I actually started in the art school, and then and all of my drawings were like people having sex. So like all of them, I was really into sex still. And then I realized I had a real passion for like sex therapy, but I wasn't really quite sure. And I think, I definitely got some messaging that it would just be a phase, but therapy seemed actually like a great mom job. And that, I don't know, I do still sometimes really want to be a therapist. I think being a therapist is admirable and a beautiful career. So I was doing that and women gender studies and business. Those were minors. And my mom was like, what are you doing with all, like, those don't go together at all. And I was like, yeah, they don't. But like, here I am now. Like somehow I tied it all together.
Amazing.
And then I think when I got, I had my grandparents paid for my college education and my master's. So I think that when I finished undergrad, I was like, I'll just go to more school. Like I just, it's like this path that's put in front of you. And I, didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And like, there was a door that was like more school to become a therapist. So I went and got my master's at Columbia. And during that time, I started to realize that there was a whole world. There's so many ways to impact the world. And like seeing my friends be part of like not being in school, like being in the workforce is like really, you get to be a part of, you are society in a really cool way. And I realized I could probably take my passion for sexuality and do something else with it. I ended up working in consumer goods at a really small all-natural shampoo shop that was like 3 people. While I was there, I definitely got this sense of like, oh, I see how a small business operates. And that really gave me even more confidence, which is not generally what I need, to like start my own business. And I had a bunch of sex toy ideas and I would write them down, and some of them I thought were good. And I went to an art supply store, bought some art supplies, took apart some other vibrators, and like started to make them.
Wow.
And I actually, like, the first thing I did was I took a $50 coin and I wrapped it in some cellophane and put it in between my labia folds, like on top of my clitoris. And in my body, it was able to stay there. I mean, it didn't have a motor, it didn't have any weight, but that really was kind of this first small little thing I did that was kind of playful, that also like encouraged me to keep down this path.
That's amazing. So it was like you were just getting information from your inspiration and like just one by one, like, well, let me try this. And what if I do that? And now were you like your friends, were your peers aware that you were experimenting in this way?
Yeah, they were helpful. I had a lot of friends come over and they would take off their pants and they would try out my vibrators and they would do I was trying to design Eva at the time, and Eva is a hands-free vibrator. So it's designed to tuck underneath the labia folds and provide clitoral stimulation during piving, which is penis in the vagina sex.
Wow.
Piving. And that's a really difficult concept. We all have really different vulvas. We all have sex really differently. There's a lot of uncontrollable variables.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just having friends kind of come over and try these things I was making, and they were really helpful and supportive. I mean, I was always pretty forceful about, nobody was surprised. My co-founder talks about having to come out as sex positive as a real, I did not do a good job of hiding my sluttiness. People knew I was sex positive. And so nobody was surprised. I wanted to be a therapist, with a call. And yeah, that's where my academia to entrepreneur journey kind of went.
That's cool. Well, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting just the difference between you and your co-founder, where it's you're all out about it, and before we pressed record, I was sharing with you that one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because I haven't been all out about stuff, and I've been scared to share things with even my twin sister, right?
Wow,
because I did and still do, I did carry a lot of shame from my upbringing around sex and sexuality and the body. And even though I was self-pleasuring in the single digits, and I don't even remember where it started or how it started.
I agree. I don't remember when I started pleasuring myself either. I remember always doing it.
Yeah, same. And then also just realizing that I don't think it was until my 20s that I realized that some women have never masturbated before. It's not even in their realm, and I was oh my God, that must suck. And wow, really? I can't believe it, and then realizing that some women have never climaxed before, never had an orgasm, and that they would, I don't know if maybe they've had one and they didn't know it was one or whatever, but I was just blown away. Holy crap.
Yeah.
This is wild, So, just thinking about your co-founder and what it must have been like for her.
Yeah, you should talk to her. So it's funny because she was, I don't want to share her story because it's about sex and it's her stuff, but she wasn't prude by any means. One time she told me this,
sure.
And it was one of my favorite things she said about herself. She goes, there are 3 C's that I am not. And it was classy, chaste, or cool. She was I will never be those 3 things. Don't try to make me be those 3 things.
Oh, wow.
And I she's classier than she gives herself credit for, and she's cooler than she gives herself credit for too.
I'm sure.
But definitely, but for her, her family upbringing was different than mine. I grew up, my parents felt people have sex. It was something people do. It can be enjoyable. I definitely remember my mom, while I was being slut shamed, kind of expressing to me that this is how the world works, and, I should be careful about my sexuality. But I think overall I had pretty positive, especially getting to hear more and more of other people's stories. Also, I'm 30, so there might be, and I grew up in New York. It's so everybody, we have such different foundations for how we're supposed to think about sex. And it's fascinating to just really sit with other people's experiences and their stories.
Absolutely.
Which is what you do, huh?
Yeah.
Nice job here.
It's exactly what we do here on Ignite Intimacy. So, okay, so there's a couple other things that I want to make sure that we cover before we sign off here. Tell us about your latest toy that you just launched.
Yeah, so our brand new toy is called Palm. It's a handheld clitoral vibrator that is pretty squishy and flexible. So it kind of it moves with the natural hip undulations that are pretty primal when it comes to our sexuality. It's really comfortable and simple to use, powerful, waterproof. I think it's like literally, I've been like joking that it's like the one vibe to rule them all.
Like heaven in your hand, heaven in the palm of your hand.
I mean, I think that there are some people who really like hard things, or people who love the wand. Everybody likes different. We have a very beautiful tapestry of sexual desires and pleasures in the world, but we're really trying to design a product that's pretty ubiquitous, or as much as possible. And I think we did a great job. It is definitely getting a lot of use in my rotation.
Awesome.
It's the first one to die these days.
Nice. And okay, so you've been generous enough to offer our listeners a discount code, which is, or a code for $15 off. So like, how can people use that? And
go to dameproducts.com, and during checkout, there'll be a moment for promo code, and you just type in Ignite. It'll give you $15 off anything you want on the site. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, we also have
sweet. Okay, cool. So yeah,
day money back guarantee, which is, I think, very shameless of us as a sex toy brand.
Okay, share that again, the guarantee.
It's a 60-day money back return policy.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then so for our audience, you can go to dameproducts.com. It's DAME products.com. And when you're checking out, there will be a field for a discount code. Just type in Ignite and you'll get $15 off your order. So awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Well, there are 1,000 more things that I want to ask you. I trust we'll have an opportunity to do this again. I just big up yourself, your co-founder, your team. It's amazing what you've created and how, you've just you've been on the journey, you've been expressing yourself, you've been sharing. People are trying to, stop you, reroute you, and you have remained who you are in your life, and you're powerful and bold and courageous. And I just love it. So thank you for hooking us up in the palm of our hand to be more powerful, more connected to our own sexuality and, and thus our own truth. So yeah, lots and lots of love. I know both of our...
Yeah, thank you so much, though. I really, this was really nice. And I just want to keep on encouraging you as well. This is great.
Thanks. Thank you so much. So check out Alexandra, dameproducts.com, also on Instagram and Facebook at Dame Products, and Ignite Intimacy. We love y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions whatsoever about this episode, you want to connect with Alex, and for some reason you just spaced and don't remember the website, holler at us, hello@igniteintimacy.com. And we love you. Thank you. We just surpassed 30,000 downloads. We're going to South by Southwest 2019. It's all happening here right now. So love, love, love. Stay blessed, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now. Thanks for tuning in to another conversation on the Ignite Intimacy podcast hotline. We love that you choose to spend your time with us. Check us out at igniteintimacy.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a review and a rating. It helps more people know about us. We love to hear from you. You can email us with questions, comments, or suggestions to hello@igniteintimacy.com. And tell your friends. Music was arranged by Jason Pfaff and Mike Corey, and this podcast is produced by yours truly, Laura Aisha. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. In the meantime, let your light shine bright and ignite your intimacy.